Good afternoon, Razorback Nation. We are here live from the Creekside Taproom in Siloam Springs. Me and Austin here, and then we got our boy Hobbs online with us, joining us today. This live episode is brought to you by Homefield. Homefield, step into the legacy of collegiate style with Homefield's premium vintage apparel. Embrace the spirit of your alma mater, or even your favorite team, with a meticulous crafted, comfortable, and stylish collections. Elevate your game day attire and celebrate the rich history of college sports. Homefield, where tradition meets modern comfort. In every stitch, you can use that promo code Variety Sports in all caps to receive 15% off your order today. And our lovely host here at Creekside Taproom, go check them out downtown Siloam Springs. Fantastic venue to come out and have a brew from anywhere across the state. They even have our sponsor Scarlet Letters in-house as well in some cans. Austin, you want to say some words about Creekside?
Yeah, man. So Siloam Spring is my hometown. The owner, I know him personally. He was my band director in high school. Lovely place, as you can see right now. It's a perfect spot to hang out. And guess what? You can bring your kids to. They got root beer on tap usually, and live music, and all kinds of stuff like that. It's a place for everybody. And you can come play cornhole. You can come and just listen to live music. And then right next door, there's a place called Ash and Ember. Ash and Ember, they're a cigar shop, tobacco, pipes. They make their own pipes, as you see right here. It's a really, really neat place. If you like going in or if you like to smoke, it's definitely a stop you need to take when you're in Northwest Arkansas. It's right here in the little beautiful downtown Siloam Springs, and it's a really neat place to go.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate them hosting us today. The Arkansas weather threw us a curveball today.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 70 degrees here in Northwest Arkansas, and it is more like a chilly anywhere from 50 to 52 degrees here.
Oh, dude, it got to be colder than that.
It might be
40 something. It is freezing out here.
But yeah, I mean, we're here. We had to pivot a little bit, but we're here. We're still coming to you live, like we told you guys. And man, what a big basketball game we have coming up today. Number 3 Alabama Crimson Tide is coming to Bud Walton to take on these hot Razorbacks.
Yeah, man. You know what? If you had told me 2 weeks ago that we'd go into this game with, a sliver of a chance to upset them, I thought you were crazy. The way they played the last 4 games has just been it's unthinkable. A few weeks ago, Boogie Flan getting injured and leaving the team, it's just kind of put this team in a position to, do things they're not usually they're not used to doing, or in the case of like John L. Davis, things that he is used to doing. He's used to being that guy who always gets the ball to go and shoot. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see what happens, and this is kind of like that, the litmus test of this team. It's where we're going to see if they're legit or if they've kind of just been, fluky the last couple of games.
Yeah, it's a big time game. You got, number 3 coming to town. I think War Machine posted it was a couple of years ago. We beat number 1 Auburn on this day. So, I mean, how cool would it be to beat the big brother just a few years later at number 3? So, home, we're still looking for that central win at Bud Walton. Hopefully we can get it tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, if anybody's any somewhat superstitious or just a little stitious, that game that we beat number 1 Auburn when they come to Bud, ironically, like you said, it was a few years ago, but it was also on February 8th as well. Today is February 8th. So maybe we can channel some of that same energy today. Hopefully the crowd is rocking in Bud Walton, has a nice ruckus environment. If you've caught any of Inside Arkansas with John Neighbors, he mentioned that full encouraging on court storming tonight, especially with, the whole seating update pricing. He said, hey, storm the court before they price you out of Bud Walton, and let that come out of your check's pocketbook.
That's a good thing. That's a good idea, man. That's where you need to hit them is the pocketbook if they're going to be pumping up these prizes like that. But still, look, there's only a few things fans can do to help your team, right? You can root at home in front of your TV on your couch and be comfortable, that's not going to do a dang thing. There's two things. You can go to the game and you can yell as loud as possible no matter what happens, or you can donate to NIL. Those are kind of the only two options that fans have, and really they haven't been doing the Bud Walton thing at all this year, and I can't blame them for it. They haven't had anything to really cheer for. There's been all this just negativity after the end of football season. So, we really need Bud Walton to return to its true form today.
Very much so. I hope everybody gets out there. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, got my tickets, I'm going." People looking for park passes, things like that. So, hopefully that gives me a good feeling that tonight is going to be, like you said, that normal. In the past, people have said Bud's worth 10 points. That's what we need tonight. We need that environment that's going to say, Bud Walton's going to give you 10 points in either direction tonight, especially whether it hurts Alabama or these guys are fueled by this crowd and feel the energy and get going. Looking at this game coming in, Alabama, of course, is number 3 in the country. 19-3 record, 8-1 in conference. Arkansas is 14-8, 6 in conference. Line open up for this game at 6.5 for Alabama. Has currently gotten down to 4.5. And it's going to be interesting to see, how true that holds, especially if this is a different environment, because I hope, this is a different environment than what we've seen at Bud Walton all season. And I think if we do, you can hopefully see that affect this team. Like Transplanting Texan says here, Hogs are on the rise. Only the fans of a 1-8 team would storm the court. Hogs are not that team anymore. Let's keep the dollars at home and out of Bama's pockets, because that is a new rule that I forgot about. Now, the updates they've made to the policies is, if you storm the field, court, wherever, that payment goes through the opposing university.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, if we beat Alabama, they're storming the court. So they don't care about that fine you got to pay. They ain't paying it. So they're going to act a fool if we beat Alabama. So
just like you, Hobbs, right?
Huh?
I said just like you, Hobbs, right?
That's right. I'm telling you. I mean, it's a Saturday night. I ain't got to work tomorrow. They better not mess up and win tonight.
Dude, I better hear you from Mississippi.
But going to this game, looking at it, one key factor that you got to look at, especially after the other night, is Theo. He was feeling under the weather the other night, but still kind of came out, gave it his all, had a heck of a game. And hopefully, they gave him all the vitamins, B12, emergency, Theraflu, whatever he needs. Get that man healthy and ready to go. He even put out some poster dunks, feeling under the weather. So if we can get him back to full strength, which I feel like we'll need against this Alabama team, and then also that continued play that we've seen from Janelle Davis, have him continue to, build on these past 3 performances, 2 back-to-back 18-point performances, and then the 24 points the other night, and then that defensive intensity he's brought these last few games. If he can come out, drop a nice 30-piece on Alabama tonight and nice. At home in Bud Walton, his first time playing back at Bud since he's started playing pretty well.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, defensive intensity. That's kind of that's where they've made their money, right? Alabama is one of the best offenses in the country, if not the best, because they play against some of the hardest defenses in the country. So here's the thing. Kentucky is a good offense, but they were a really bad defense. Mm-hmm. Alabama is not necessarily as bad as Kentucky on defense, but they still give up like 78 points a game. So Arkansas has a chance to make it ugly and kind of make it look like that Kentucky game. And if they can really jump those passing lanes, if they can really, get the boards like they need to do, if Big Z can come out and have another 12-board game, I'm going to be ecstatic. And I think if you beat them on the boards, I think you have a chance to keep it close against Alabama.
I agree 100%. I think that's what you're going to need to see from a guy like Big Z, is him to come out, be that guy down low that you saw against Texas. That was a completely different Big Z than what we've seen all season, the way he was ripping down those boards and, like you said, getting it and bringing it to your chest instead of just trying to, grab at it in the air and it gets swatted away or taken out of your hands. So he can come out and have some big boards and big points, and then I would love to see with his first time being back at home, just something from Jonas Adu with the disappointment he's been this year. Janelle Davis has stepped up, but three back-to-back good performances. Big Z had a great performance against Texas and against Kentucky. So now it's Jonas Adu's turn to come out and show us something. After struggling all season, I think that's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, Jonas, like you said, disappointment. And the thing is, we just kind of got it's a little bit of bad luck because he was hurt, and we just didn't know how bad he was hurt. Still, it's going to be tough with a guy who can score like Grant Nelson. I mean, Bus wanted him to come to Arkansas for a reason. The dude's electric, and it's going to be hard to keep him under wraps. He's a little bit more finesse than like Amari Williams in Kentucky is, but he's still going to be able to get his points, right? I mean, right now he averages 12.8 a game. That's more than DJ Wagner right now, I'm pretty sure. So they've got the bigs to really challenge our front court. And another person that needs to step up is Brazil, right? I think they need to give him a little bit. I don't know if this is the game to give him the chance to step up, but I feel like Calipari needs to let go of the leash just a little bit. Let him play more than 18 minutes a game. Right now, he's good for like 2 or 3 and a few rebounds, and that's it. But maybe just kind of let him do his thing like he did with us and see where it goes.
Yeah, he's going to be a guy that I think you're going to need that can kind of match some of the athleticism of Grant Nelson. He's a guy that's very much a big, but also very much more athletic and can run the floor a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, Big Z can, but he's more of a very much big that he can stretch the floor. But when it comes to pure athleticism, I feel like Nelson would have the chance to put him in a spin cycle, whereas I feel like Brazil has a better chance at matching up with him just from a one-on-one perspective. But like you said, if Cal can, loosen that leash a little bit for Brazil, let him have some more time out on that court, because we're down to this 8-man roster. Like we talked about, these guys are in intense shape, and you can see it now that at game after game, these guys, they're getting less winded. The other teams, they're getting winded because we're just, running up and down the court. We like to speed it up. And I think that's what helped us in Texas's favors, because they're a team that they wanted to slow the game down into a half-court offense. Whereas Arkansas, we wanted to get up and run and things like that. So, with this rotation, the big thing here is we're going to have to close out on the three-point shots, because that's where Alabama likes to live. And if you can catch them on an off night, that's what we're going to need. There's past few games, if you look at, just overall, they've had some close games over the past few matchups. You look at, they beat Georgia handily pretty much, of course, but they only beat a Mississippi State team by 4. They only beat that LSU team that is terrible, and somehow we let them beat us 80-73. So they're not just necessarily blowing out people. They're having some close games. Even that Kentucky team, 102-97. So I think if you can come out, limit their shots from deep, but also be able to keep up our hot shooting, you can find some success there.
Yeah, the thing is, they're not really insanely great from 3. They just have a couple guys that are good, like Mark Sears and Aiden Holloway. Both Mark Sears is 35.9, and Holloway is 41.5. So, I mean, those are the guys that you have to watch out for, and that's going to be on the guard. The problem with that, they're playing like 39 minutes a game, so they're going to be pretty tired. We'll just have to play it by ear, I guess, and let them have some shots and, just do it the best they can. But
Because if you look, because if you look at it, the way their minute share is, Mark Sears plays the most minutes for Alabama, and he plays 32 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Whereas, a majority of our starting 5 plays 34, 35 upwards. If you're DJ Wagner and Ellie Davis, you're playing, 38, 39 minutes a game. Grant Nelson, 27. So, they have a little bit of a deeper rotation.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we can keep them out of rhythm and, get some of these guys off balance.
See, the good thing, I'm going to let you talk, Hobbs, in a second, I promise.
No, you're fine.
The good thing about them having that small roster all season, though, because there's a lot of people like Kentucky right now dealing with a whole lot of injuries, and they're not used to working with such a little roster. Arkansas is, and you saw it against Texas late into the game. Texas, their starting five was starting to breathe hard. Arkansas starting five, I mean, they looked tired, but they weren't nearly as tired as Texas was. And the thing is, pressure makes diamonds. So that's what's happened the last few weeks is they've gone in there, run up the floor, gotten their butts kicked, and now they're a really hardy team. And I think if Duke can be a little bit less sick today, then we'll look pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's like Transpoint Texan says here. Big Z needs to help tonight if he can continue building on his performances. It's like we said in the show on Thursday, he seems like when he's having a good offensive game, he wrenches up his defensive intensity. And so who's going to step up next? We've had Nelly step up. We've had Big Z. So is Brazil or Adu going to be that next guy that kind of goes up to the next level and helps this Arkansas team? Because it's like Cal said in numerous press conferences, he knows how good Brazil can be. It's just getting it out of him. Well, this is the perfect game to get it out of him, let him play, 20, 25 minutes this game if he's having a good game, and really help us out on the offensive side and defensively as well, because he's extremely athletic and can get up there and block some shots.
I'll let you answer that one, Hobbs.
Jonas has been playing like Adu, so not Adu, but I mean, we need him to step up. We know the kind of caliber play he is. We saw it at Tennessee last year. So we need a game or two from him big time. It would help if it's tonight. Hopefully he steps up or else, like you said, Brazil, if not, Big Z's going to have to carry a lot of minutes tonight. But I think the keys to success in this game is doing the same thing we did last game. If Davis is able to hit the shots that he was hitting last game, it's going to open up the driving lanes for Thero to get in the lane like he did last game, and then Wagner as well being able to drive in. So those to me are the biggest keys. We've got to be able to hit the shots, or they're just going to stay in the paint. Like who was that we were playing that was staying in the paint all game? Maybe Ole Miss, because we couldn't hit nothing. So we've got to be able to hit the shots from outside. Davis is a big factor in that. Like I said, I've said this for a while now. He goes as we go. We got to have him.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with the Adu thing too, because when you're thinking about what do you need more against Alabama, I think you need more defense, right? They've got some firepower in the last few weeks anyway. I'm still not convinced that's actually the Hawgs. I'm not sure that's the Razorbacks that I've seen the last few weeks in the stadium, but they really, really need to have a defensive presence there in the paint. And Adu was that for Tennessee, and we really need that to step up today. Now, Brazil, obviously he can play some defense, but I feel like he's more like a 4 than a true 5. Yeah. So I really would like Adu to step up in this game, but we'll just kind of wait and see. Hopefully he gets a little bit of a chance. He doesn't go in for less than 10 minutes and get 3 fouls. That's a big thing. He needs to stop fouling, and he can stay in a little more. But other than that, yeah, I think that's probably who needs to step up the most.
Yeah, I mean, to transplant Texans' point here, can we have guys like Adu Thero or DJ Wagner be guys that can drive into the lane and get these Alabama players, these starters, in foul trouble? Because if you think about their bench guys that, they hardly play a few minutes a game already, playing, 16, 18, 14 minutes. If we can get them in foul trouble and have some of these guys get in foul trouble, I think your Grant Milton, your Mark Sears, Aiden Holloway, those guys, if you can get them in some foul trouble and have them set for a little bit, these other guys don't have to play those extra minutes that they're not used to. And I think that can play into Arkansas's favor. And then not to mention, get Billy Richmond out there running them and having some of that intense defense that he brings as well.
See, and that's the other thing about this 8-man roster is that they're playing as good as thanks sir. They're playing as good as ever. And they're doing it throughout the entire game. They're not getting tired like they were at the beginning. But now you're going to have a starting five basically the entire game, and they're going to play against those rotation players. So that's where Arkansas can really make their way offensively, at least, probably defensively too. Because I mean, I don't see how Mark Sears can take 8 minutes off this game. With
or bench himself.
he benched himself. I hadn't paid attention to a whole lot of the drama that's going on. What happened with that?
So at one point, he benched himself during one of Alabama's games. Nate Oates benched him at one point during the season. So he's had an up and down season for, it seems like, his 20th year of college basketball. And so, if we can get a Mark Sears that, maybe wants to bench himself or struggle, and Nate Oates gets frustrated, I'll take that all night long.
Bro, you want to talk about old people in basketball? Have you looked at the average age of Auburn? Average age of Auburn's team is 23. They got like two 26-year-old kids, 25-year-old kids. I mean, Broom's 22. He's been in college forever too. So no wonder they're going to win. If they don't win the national championship, it's kind of embarrassing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they clearly look like the best team in college basketball right now, and it's unfortunate. I wish they were coming here, but we have to go on the road. But we'll get to that down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, you're seeing a lot of older college teams. I mean, if you look at our team, you've only got a handful between Adu and Nelly Davis that they're grad transfer seniors, and that comes with a Cal team of liking to trust those young players. So I'll be interested to see what the game plan is going in. Can we kind of slow down Alabama from behind the arc, and then can Arkansas get it going from behind the 3-point line? Nelly Davis, he shot 4-4 in the second half the other night, and can DJ Wagner contribute like he has? I still stand by what I said last episode is how I can't see anybody that is going to be able to keep up with him off his quick first step. He likes to get that first step and automatically drive to his left and finish either with his right or left and drawing a foul on top of that.
Yeah, the announcers were saying how much he likes to finish with his left. I'm like, stop telling the secrets. It's not like they're not up there looking at it and figuring out anyway. But yeah, I know that when defensively, I was talking about how we need a good front court, but that's second in comparison to how good the backcourt needs to play. We need John L. Davis hitting those passing lanes like he was against Kentucky and Texas. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at it, if we can, I think that's going to be keys to the game is if you slow down Alabama and keep them from just lighting up from behind the arc, and then if you create that defensive intensity and these guys show up to play, and you have the environment that, like we said, Bud's worth 10 when it's rocking like it normally it should. I think Arkansas has good odds tonight. Like I said, the line started off at Alabama 6.5. Now it's down to 4.5. I'd be willing to take a little Arkansas money line action there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Take it to the bank.
What'd you say?
Take it to the bank. We winning tonight.
You heard it first from Hobbs here. So big time matchup coming up 7:30 tonight. Game shifts a little bit. Like I said earlier in last week, apparently some people want to watch this guy named Luka play for the Lakers. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll have
He's
to
not
see
even
that.
playing. Yeah, did you see
Exactly.
that? They moved the game back for nothing.
And he's not even playing. So,
and this is the exact reason why the Mavericks traded him.
I don't know. Still, I don't like that trade at all.
Yeah. But without diving too much in that, 7:30 tonight, Bud Walton Arena. Hopefully it's rocking like it normally is. I'm excited for it. As soon as we wrap up here, that's my plan is to head home and head to the game. So we'll see what happens for that. And then as we jump over, in case you missed it, Arkansas had one big gymnastics meet last night. Number 2, Florida comes to town, and Arkansas does their normal. They were trailing a little bit, but once you get to the floor show, lights out, done. Arkansas. this is the first year since 2009 they've beaten 2 top 3 teams at Arkansas. Unfortunately, they lost to number 1 Oklahoma last night, but I can be fine losing number 1 overall. When you beat number 3 and number 2, that does you a lot of favors. Fantastic atmosphere there. Not to mention hype man Corey from the gymnastics meet is going to be at the basketball game tonight too,
Right.
taking over for John Williams. So they're changing up a few things.
Get a little bit of new blood in there,
Oh yeah, get some freshness with this big game. But I mean, fantastic job Coach Weaver's done with his team. Fantastic performances by all these ladies: Jocelyn, Maddie Walgoria, on Frankie Price, of course. Fantastic job by all of them. Back-to-back home ranked wins. Hopefully, this team's ready to make a deep run in the gymnastics tournament.
Yeah. Okay. So, I don't know names or a whole lot, but I'm pretty sure it was the Olympian, right? The
Jocelyn Robinson.
Jocelyn. I'm pretty sure it was Jocelyn. She did the beam, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know how they do that because I get up out of bed and I trip. So I don't know how you do it on something that's this big. So it's incredibly impressive, and we got an Olympian as a coach, and they're on the rise, dude.
Oh, 100%. They'll be back in action next Friday, as they coined the phrase Friday Night Heights for the Olympics the gymnastics that have been on Friday nights will be taken on the road at Georgia at 6:00 next Friday. We'll jump into some softball action. Arkansas softball is kicked off, and they are currently 5-0 right now.
5-0, and then they've got like 50 runs.
Yeah, I was about to say they won. They beat Texas. And then the second game of the season, playing down
in yeah.
I lost Caleb's mic.
What'd you say, Hobbs?
Caleb's mic. I can't hear him.
Can you hear?
I can hear you, Austin. I can't. I can't hear Caleb.
Did it go off? If not, I can hook up another mic. Yeah. 23 runs, man. You got some girls out there that hate softballs. They're just knocking them out of the park. And not only that, I mean, home runs, doesn't have home runs on here, but 17 hits and then 23 runs. So they're absolutely killing this. What's her name? My favorite player, Bree Ellis.
Bree Ellis.
Again, if you haven't followed her on Twitter, best follow on Twitter. She's hilarious, and Courtney Eiffel, dude. Courtney Eiffel is the stuff. And you know what? First year with Oklahoma coming to the league, I mean, it's going to be some tough sledding going into the SEC tournament. So, yeah. So Texas, Oklahoma.
I was about to say, yeah. No,
we got a Sooner fan in here, so don't. Yeah.
Boo.
I was about to say, yeah, and unfortunately that that matchup is in Norman this year. I'd love to see that in Fayetteville this year, but so Arkansas beats Lipscomb 23-0 in their first game on Friday. You had Reese Berlin make her first appearance of the season, going 4 innings, allowing 2 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts on the day, and then Lexi King coming in and closing out with the final inning, 1 hit. And no runs, no walks. Second matchup of the day yesterday, Arkansas takes care of Bradley 3-1. So not as high scoring game as Lipscomb, but they get the win there. For Arkansas, you had Peyton Burnham 6 and a third innings, allowing 3 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts on the day for Peyton. And then Cam Harrison comes in, the freshman, closes out the final 2/3 inning, getting a strikeout and a walk. Arkansas had 2 matchups today. They had Bradley. They beat them 9-1 in the first game today. And then in their second game, much closer, they beat San Diego 2-1. So to finish up 5-0 in this first weekend of the season, where they'll be back in action next Friday, as the same day baseball is going to get kicked off.
Yep. Yeah. dude, I'm ready to go see some games there, and then baseball, man. Hobbs has been keeping us up to date on that. So where do you want to start with that? You want to just go over position by position, or are we just gonna
Yeah, we'll jump into
let's talk about pitchers first? That's what I want to talk
oh
about.
yeah, so Arkansas had their third weekend of scrimmages. Doubleheader today, game yesterday. Yesterday, Geckel gets to start yesterday. Uh, 2 1/3 inning, 4 hits, 2 runs allowed, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. You had Aiden Jimenez, the guy that we didn't necessarily think was going to be ready for the season, but Dave Van Horn said he's much ahead of schedule on his recovery. Um, 1 inning for him, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. Parker Coyle has been lighting up these scrimmages, an inning and 2/3 in this outing with 3 strikeouts, and then Dylan Carter, the guy that's been around a while, unfortunately didn't get back from the injury as much as he had hoped last year. 1 inning, 1 hit, and 1 strikeout in this game. What do you want to tell us about this Friday scrimmage, Hobbs?
So you just mentioned Parker Coyle. He looks phenomenal. You talk about, Matt Hobbs has had the tendency of getting guys to have a sophomore to junior type year jump. You talk about Kevin Copps, Hagen Smith. Those guys just have massive jumps. And, from what it looks like, Parker Coyle may be that guy that takes that jump, because he's had some struggles in his past freshman and sophomore year, but he really came into fruition last year. I can't remember if it was SC tournament or not, but that he looked really sharp towards the end of the year. And now you look at the scrimmages here going up against a really good lineup, and he's just lights out, striking out almost every hitter he's facing. So really look for him to be a major factor this year, a bigger factor than we thought he would be, because this pitching staff's loaded. But if he's coming in and doing what he's doing in the regular season, then he's just going to be one of the first guys out of the pen. He just has to be. So you talked about Aiden Jimenez. It looks like he's been and the great thing about these scrimmages are you kind of foreshadow what it's going to look like, because the lineups have been really looked the same here lately. So I could probably give you a starting lineup on opening day right now if I had to, because Dave Van Horn's pretty much had the same lineup together, and he's had the same guys in the pen coming in relief. So with that being said, Jimenez has relieved Gackel every single time on the first Friday scrimmages. So that may be your first guy to the pen on Friday. So, and I think it has to do with righty-lefty situation and mismatching. But, yeah, Jimenez looks great. Doesn't look like he's injured at all. And so those two guys really looking forward to them.
Yeah, and then you jump over to the non-starters, if you will. You had Ben Bybee get the start up against Geckel. 3 1/3 for him, 6 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Not the best outing for him. Eves came in for relief, 1 2/3, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, and Christian Fouch, aka the fireman that they've been calling with the heat that he's been throwing, came in for that final inning, 3 hits, 1 run, and 1 walk in that one. What about these guys?
Yeah, Bobby looks like he's probably going to be in a midweek role again, unless he shows otherwise. So Eves is a guy that kind of came out of nowhere. Wasn't really expecting him to be part of this mix, and he's gotten a lot of action in these scrimmages. So you probably see him in the midweek action. I'm not really sure if you'll see him in the weekends just yet. Might see everybody opening weekend, and we'll get to that here in a minute with the weather. But and Christian Fouch, Dave Van Horn did say in his presser the other day that, he's gonna be a big time relief pitcher for us, but it's not a guaranteed thing that we're going to have one set guy closing games. It's going to be a committee role and who's available. There's not just one particular guy. It's just going to be based on matchups and who's available to pitch. Because like I said, the thing that Dave loves is when you're getting guys out, he's going to keep you in. So,
Yeah, so that's the thing. When you have a guy like Christian Fouch, finished the entire season last year with a sub-1 ERA.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a guy that, you know, don't want to have too big of a comparison or put too big shoes out there, but you're almost looking at a potential next Kevin Cox type of, you know, not saying he's going to be to that level, but, you know, having that sub-1 ERA, you know, that sounds like the type of numbers, you know, that Cox had when he had his Golden Spike season here all of a sudden.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Cops had that slider that was untouchable. Fouch is more of a velocity guy. Throws 102 miles per hour, so he's very hard to hit. So and it may not be a multiple inning type of guy like Cops was, but he's definitely going to be a guy that comes in and is going to be very hard for people to hit because it's very hard to hit 103 miles per hour.
Yeah. So then you flip. You got something to add there, Austin?
No.
So, you know, you flip over to the bats side of this. You know, we've talked about it all offseason, how you're going to see a little bit different style of offense from Dave this year. You know, this is not going to be a team that's going to, you know, rely on the long ball at all. You know, he mentioned that after getting beat out of the regional last year, that they've got to take a different approach to, you know, offense, because you can't live by the home run. It's almost like in basketball, when you live by the three, you die by the three. Same principle there for baseball. You know, if you're just not connecting, you're going to struggle. So, you know, so you saw Dave go in, bring in some speed, bring in some guys that just can flat out hit the ball, like you described. Logan Maxwell, guy that just hits the ball. You know, guys that can hit those double singles, and you know, we still got our power hitters as well. You know, you got Aloy, Nolan Souza, guys that, you know, I think are going to take that next jump this year. I mean, we've already seen that in some of the scrimmages already. I mean, you look at it in the Friday scrimmage, Steve Aloy goes 1 of 3. You have Davlin 2 of 4. Arendelle, the guy that you're most excited about, Hobbs, on Friday goes 1 of 2, drives in 3 runs. Nolan Souza drives in 2 runs on a play as well. So, you know, talk to us about these guys from Friday.
Yeah, big highlights. Iredale, I've been talking about for weeks. This is one of the best hitters we've had in a long time. He's a guy that's going to probably hit close to 400, if not that, because he hits the baseball, and he's going to walk a lot too. So, and he hits it with power. I mean, you're looking at maybe 20 home runs from him, and he's going to probably hit in the cleanup spot and have several guys on base when he's up most of the time. And he's got speed. He can steal a bag. He stole 20-something bags last year in JUCO. So he hit a home run. And and another guy that's just absolutely destroying the ball right now is Rocco Pepe. He hit a home run in that game. He hit another one today. You know, Pepe is a very athletic. He can run. He's a 5-tool type of player. He can field. It looks like he's going to be the first baseman. I think from the way the lineups have looked this weekend, he's won that position. Now, that's not to say that they'll change it up a little bit and have him play in the outfield sometimes, maybe DH. But he's going to be in the lineup a lot, and I think it looks like he's probably going to be at first base majority of the time. You know, Nolan Souza, hopefully he has a breakout sophomore season. Looks really good. What I'm most impressed about, a lot of people keep talking about the power. I mean, he's had the power. I'm more impressed with the way he's stealing bases. It seems like every time he's been on in scrimmages, he's stealing a bag or two. So he looks to be becoming that base running threat as well. And Dave Van Horn talked about he's really improved in his fielding, which Dave Van Horn cares greatly about defense. And there's another guy behind him that can play too, and that's been lighting up in these scrimmages the last few days. Cam Cozell. So you know, and it's almost to the point where, you know, Cozell may need to get some playing time. He's getting 2 hits a game here lately. And then Davalon is he kind of got hurt in that first weekend of scrimmages. but he looks healthy today. He made a diving catch and then threw a guy out after he made the diving catch today. Looks really good. Great defensive center fielder. A lot of attitude with this guy, and he can hit with power. Had 10 home runs last year. Looks like he's probably going to be our leadoff hitter playing in the center. So yeah, but I mean, we can go all day talking about the whole lineup. This line is full of speed, power. We may break the home run record and team stolen base record all in one season. That's how much potential this team has.
Yeah. So, fill us in here. Hobbs, transplant Texan, says he doesn't follow baseball super closely. Hasn't Lloyd's brother been at the squad, and how's he looking? So the answer is yes. His brother transferred over from BYU last season, where primarily he DH'd for BYU last year. He came over, joined his brother here at Arkansas. So that makes 3 Hawaiians that we have on the team this year. But yeah, you said it earlier today. Both Vahiva and his brother Kahio back-to-back home runs in today's second scrimmage. So, what do we need to know about his brother Kahio?
Yeah, that was a pretty neat moment. Wahiva hit a ball off the scoreboard, and then just a few batters later, Kahia came up and hit a ball out of center field. So they both hit homers in just a few at bats. But yeah, I mean he's a transfer in from BYU, heading into his sophomore season. He's been playing right field with the backups in the scrimmages, hitting in the middle of the order. So he's probably not with the starting group. It looks like Diggs is probably going to be our right fielder to start the year. But Aloy, he can play. He can play in the outfield. He can DH. I don't think he's gonna be at first base. He's got too big of an arm for him not to be in the field when he's in there. But he's probably going to be more of a midweek guy right now because Diggs is not going to be out of the lineup, and neither is Maxwell. So I don't know how much Aloy is going to play. It may be a matchup type of deal, but and that's another thing about Dave Van Horn. He mentioned that he asked the fans to be patient because their midweek games. He is not going to play a bunch of starters. He wants to rest guys. We have a lot of depth on this team. We have several freshmen that are going to be key pieces in the near future that need to get at bats. And we have guys like Aloy that's not going to be starting. So they need to get playing time. And also, a lot of people don't think about pinch hitting. That is huge. That is huge in late in games, playing matchups. One guy may be having an off day. You can pinch hit somebody. I mentioned before, one of our biggest hits in Arkansas history came on a pinch hit. So those are crucial things. So, but it looks like Aloy is not going to be a starter, but he's definitely going to get his playing time. He's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, and he's a true sophomore, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's a true sophomore and have a few years eligibility. His brother's a junior, so we'll have to see. As far as what transplant Texas said, how many years of eligibility he has. It depends. Guys depends on how much he turns it on, draft eligibility, and all things like that. But yeah, he's a true sophomore. Played as a true freshman at BYU last year. Flipping gears over to the second game of the weekend, first on today. You saw the second of your two, your weekend starters, Zach Root, get the start for the quote unquote starter team. This is a guy that I'm excited about. It says it all when his walkout song is Dragula from Rob Zombie. I love to see that. So comes out in this scrimmage, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts in 5 innings. You have Tate McGuire come in, relief 2 innings, 1 strikeout, and then Carson Wiggins, 1 inning. Didn't record no hits, no walks, no strikeouts. But talk to us about Zach Root.
Yeah, Zach Root, I mean, probably the most exciting pitcher that we got out of the portal. A guy that turned down a lot of other SEC schools to come here because of Matt Hobbs and the pitching development he's had. He pitched in big-time games at ECU, who we all know normally makes a regional. even super regionals in baseball. That's a good baseball program that they have. So he looked really good today. I've said this for weeks now. He's going to be the Saturday starter. A few people on Twitter have argued with me that it's going to be Gage Wood, but this has been our Saturday starter since he came here. This guy's really good. He's got a unique windup that keeps hitters off balance. Has a high velocity fastball with a sweeping curveball, slider, changeup. Very hard to hit. He's going to give up a few hits, but he's also going to strike out a lot of people. He doesn't walk a lot of people, which I love about him. Strike thrower. He's these are going to be the guys like him, and we'll talk about Bottle Cheese in a minute, that are the key to the Arkansas rotation success. Because last year, our number 2 and number 3 pitchers were very inconsistent. They couldn't get 5 innings. They couldn't go 5 innings to save their life. So Zach Rose is very capable, and I'm so excited that he's a Razorback. Tate McGuire is another guy that kind of got lost in the rotation last year but he's got potential to be great. He was a highly recruited guy at high school. So had a rough freshman year, and then didn't get to pitch later on in the season. But I mean, he has the potential to be great. And then we all know about Carson Wiggins. I've said before, he needs to be in the closer type role because of how hard he throws. But I don't know how they're going to use him, if they're going to go late inning type guy, if he's going to be a midweek starter for a little bit until he gets his some stuff under his belt. But he's too good to not be pitching a lot this year.
Yeah. So, taking a quick break from pitching, Transplant Texans got a question here. He said, a combination of, hasn't DVH gotten away from pitch hitting / bunting, the past few seasons? Would love to see those base hits and base runners for that. It would fit into the new emphasis of getting away from the quote-unquote gorilla ball. What do you think about that? Do you think we'll see a little bit more pinch hitting, bunting from DVH this year, especially since we've got guys that can run the bags more?
Yeah, you're going to see more pinch hitting because we have depth now. We couldn't pinch hit last year because there was nobody to pinch hit for. There was nobody to bring in. That was the problem last year. We didn't have any depth, and we had injuries that really hurt us. And then 2 years ago, we had our outfield stacked, guys out of the game. We had a very stacked team a couple of years ago. We just fell short of them. We ran into a TCU team that couldn't miss the baseball. They were ridiculous. But when you look at bunting, I don't know how much bunting we're going to do, but we are going to steal bases. We're going to put ourselves in positions to hit a sac fly, get a run in. This lineup has so much power. I don't know if they're going to put a bunt down to take the bat out of somebody's hands. Maybe Justin Thomas will lay down a bunt, Davalon maybe. But when you look at the middle of the order, Aloy, Maxwell, Iredale, Diggs, Pepe, Souza, Helfrey, do you really want those guys bunting? I mean,
look, all you need to do is hit singles. That's what I've been saying, right? I'm going to get a T-shirt. I'm going to sell it because, that's one, it's a great slogan. And two, I believe it. If you just hit singles, you win. You don't have to necessarily bunt. I would like to see it in key situations, but like you said, we got the buddy. There was a dog. Sorry. In key situations, I'd like to see that bunting, but you can't take the bat out of these guys' hands because they're immensely talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're gonna have to find a way to get that shirt for you, Austin. Just hit singles. So
yeah, just hit singles. That's what we need.
Transplant Texan said so. Hobbs is saying the roster has hitters from top to bottom. It's so great. That is what we've been saying, and it is interesting, especially after these past few years, to see. You only have a few guys like over the past few years, like either the top of your lineup was struggled, bottom lineup, and then your middle was the heart of the order is going to be your best. Top to bottom this year, you shouldn't have guys that struggle. And like Hobbs said, we have the depth this year that if somebody does struggle, you can switch somebody in that may have the ability to come in and continue that on. So I'm excited to see the offensive approach this year. I think it's going to see a lot of doubles, triples, singles. Just putting the ball in play instead of, oh, it's going to the wall and it's called at the wall instead of a home run, or things like that. So it's going to be fun to see this different offensive approach. Even though some people say it's not as fun, as long as it gets us runs and gets us win, I think it's going to be as fun.
I like winning better than runs.
I love that too.
So in the first game today, jumping back to pitching, so you saw Colin Fisher get the start, Big Tuna, a guy that kind of led the way for you in midweek games last year until injury. Comes out for an inning and two-thirds, 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts for him. He's relieved by steady super senior Will McIntyre, 4 1/3 for him, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, and then Cole Gibbler, the guy that Hobbs has been praising that he really likes him this year. 2 innings, 2 strikeouts for him. These 3 guys, I feel like they all have the opportunity to be key bullpen guys or midweek starters at that.
Yeah, these are 3 more guys that are big time, crucial pieces of this year's rotation. Colin Fisher, it's good to see him pitching good again after the injury last year. Didn't know another guy we didn't know how ready he was going to be at the start of the year. He looks as good as he can be. Big time lefty. You got to have a guy like that can pitch. I don't know if he's going to come out of the pen or be a midweek starter again this year. We'll see. We'll see how Dave starts using them. The great thing about midweek games, they kind of go away towards the end of April, beginning of May, and then you have nothing but weekend games. So all those midweek guys can go into the weekend. So pitching in the midweek is not the end of the world. Will McIntyre, I mean, he's looked great in these scrimmages. I don't think he has the pressure he had on him last year. He's looking sharp. He looks like a veteran. I mean, he's been here forever. So I'm really excited. Last year when Will came in, you're like, man, hopefully he does good today. I mean, he looks really good right now.
I mean, one thing I take from that, you heard Dave say at the Swatters Club the other day, talking about specifically Will McIntyre, how he's very much improved his fastball this season compared to last year, where he relied so much on that cutter that he has, that guys were kind of just keying in on it, and then kind of took that effectiveness away that we saw the year prior. Well, this year he said that Will McIntyre is a guy that he thinks this year and this offseason has been the hardest that he's worked since he's been here. And, he's really worked on that fastball and got it up there 90s, 91, 92. Those low 90s, nothing like crazy, but it's just enough to where, like he said, you got that cutter that's coming out there, mid to low 80s, and then you switch it up and throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. You're going to catch guys off guard. So, I'm excited to see what Will McIntyre is going to do this year with that addition of, improved fastball.
Yeah, he mentioned that, hitters can't just sit on that cutter anymore because he's improved that fastball. And he's a guy that you're not going to really worry about command issues because he's been doing this for a while. So, Dave said he couldn't really command that fastball this year, but he's improved it, which is a great sign early in the season. Yeah, I mean, who's to say Will doesn't turn into Kevin Kopps? I mean, you never know. So, and then Cole Gibbler, like we talked about, that I keep discussing here. It's great to see him pitch well today because he's kind of struggled in the first few outings he's had. But and that's kind of how freshman pitchers go. They don't necessarily get going right off the bat unless you're Gabe Gackel. But yeah, it's good to see him because I think he's a big part of this rotation. And hopefully he's going to get some midweek starts because he's going to probably be a starter next year.
Yeah. And then, it's like we talked about with these hitting. Transplant Texan says, I agree with this 100%. I love seeing base hits and hitter after hitter going to the plate in one inning. That's exciting and has the potential for multiple runs. Yeah, you hate to see 3 up, 3 down for these guys. And, we saw a lot of that last year, in games that we were struggling to, hit the home run ball. Guys were going up, swinging for the fences and then right back to the dugout. So, that's going to be fun to see that approach. And then, jumping over to that last doubleheader today, standouts for that game. I know we talked about the Aloy brothers hitting that back-to-back home runs in that game, but other than those two guys, who stood out in that the second game of that doubleheader today?
We just talked about him earlier. Cam Cozell hit a home run, 2 hits today. I mean, a guy that's been leading off for the second team in these scrimmages. He's going to get some playing time now. This guy is very talented. He's played in the SEC. Came in from Vanderbilt. There was a guy, a very well-known Twitter person for college baseball, and he was in that video. Cozell was. So, this is a guy that if Sousa starts struggling or midweek games, you can see him in the lineup. His bat's got to be in there. Zane Becker with another hit today, backup catcher. But the starting lineup, man, what a way to respond after getting shut down in the first game because of our great pitching staff. They came out and scored 12 runs in the second game. Everybody in the lineup had a hit, and then 3 guys had multiple hits. Aloy had 3 hits. Diggs had 2 hits. Another guy that looks extremely healthy. He's got no eligibility left. So, I mean, this is it, ride or die. He posted one last ride when he announced he was coming back. He had shoulder surgery. He's very healthy. Looks like the old Kendall Diggs that hit 300 and drove in a lot of runs. He's been hitting 5th in the lineup in these scrimmages. So if he's hitting right behind Iredale, I think he's going to see a lot more, even more pitchers to hit because teams are not going to want to pitch to Iredale either. So that's just another thing that I think Diggs hasn't had in the last few years is a guy hitting behind or in front of him that is scary for people to have to face. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities to drive in runs. And then Pepe, another multi-hit game. I mean, if the season started today, I tell you, Pepe is the most likely candidate to hit the first home run of the year. That's how on fire this guy is. So hopefully he carries that into next weekend. And then Sousa had a multi-hit game with 2 hits as well. So Diggs, Pepe, and Aloy all hit home runs for the starter. Cozell and Aloy hit home runs. So that was nice to see after the pitching performance we had in the first game.
Yeah. Trenchpoint Texan says here, looks forward to seeing a healthy Diggs this year. Guy deserves to have a good year. We want to see a healthy Daddy Diggs. It's going to be putting those bombs over the wall. So,
yeah, Diggs is a very nice guy too, man. Like I was at Mississippi State a few years ago, and he hit a grand slam in the game I was at, and I was kind of hanging on the right field wall. And I was like, "Hey, Diggs, man, that was an awesome hit." And he was like, "I appreciate it, man." So, I mean, he's a good kid. So, everybody's rooting for him. We got a lot of unnecessary negativity last year towards the end of the year, but we didn't have anybody else to put in. So instead of thinking it as a bad thing that he had a down year playing through an injury, I look at it as damn, man, that guy's tough as nails, man, playing through an injury. And Dave Van Horn feels the same way. He's not mad at Diggs or anything. Yeah, he wish he would have told him he was hurt, but I mean, for him to play through an injury, it says a lot to Dave how tough that kid is.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, look at the heart in a guy with a guy that plays, a third or at least half the season, with a torn labrum. I mean, and then Dave Van Horn didn't talk about that until after the season, after we got knocked out of the regional. Then he was like, yeah, Diggs was kind of dealing with that all year, but, felt like he could play through some of that. But, we definitely saw, that affect his game very much. And, like you said, shoulder's fine. I forgot the exact quote that he had about him, but he said Diggs is a grown man this year, and he's ready to get back to what we know he can do.
Yep, absolutely. That's
the thing is, hang on, there's a car going by. I can barely hear anything. What do you call it? I can tell you, dude, that torn labrum is not a joke, right? I played my entire senior year on a torn labrum, and I was an offensive lineman, so all I did was this, right? And we put a brace on it, so it really kept it in there tight. Swinging the bat, though, my God, I could not imagine the pain that he was going through last year. So to that's why, like, I'm always on Twitter. I'm telling people, hey, you know what? Calm your comments down just a little bit, and then just kind of, wait to see why it's happening. I mean, these guys are athletes. They're D1 athletes. We know that they can play ball, and this goes across sports. Just, be a little patient. I know it's an emotional game. I know that your emotions are up, and you just got to get it out. But be a little bit more understanding and a little bit, wait to see what's actually happening, because usually there's something underlying on all these things. Like Adu, like, he's not playing good because he's pretty much still dealing with his injury. Don't really know what John L. Davis was, but I think it was probably because Bogey Flame was in the lineup, and he was, he had a lot of those touches that John L. Davis didn't. So, like, just be patient, let it process, and then, like, this year we'll have Kendall Diggs out there hitting bombs, hopefully, man.
Yeah. I mean, to hit on some of the power that we're going to see from this team this year, you look at some of the home run metrics from the scrimmages today. Rocco Pepe led the way, hitting his home run 420 feet at 103 miles an hour off the bat. You had Diggs 332, 94. The Aloy brothers 394, 413. Cam Kozel, the guy you talked about, Hobbs 349, 89 off the bat. So these guys got some power, and hopefully those guys in the hog pen are ready to catch a lot of baseballs with these guys that are hitting this kind of power.
They better get ready, because them lefties. I mean, the lefties can even hit it out there too. The righties are going to hit a lot out there, but even the lefties can go opposite field. And that rooftop out there in right field better get ready too. So so there's like 4 guys that could hit 15 plus home runs on this team. Helfrich, Pepe, Aloy, Iredale. Those are your main 4 there that have the potential to hit the long ball 15 plus times. And when you look at, I'm not going to compare us to Tennessee, but because they play in a softball field out there, but their field is so small out there. But their lineup they had last year, their numbers were ridiculous. I'm not saying we're going to put up those numbers, but maybe we should have a really good year. Now, opening weekend, I cautious everybody, just have a little patience if the offense isn't fully rocking opening weekend. It's going to be extremely cold.
That's what I was about to say is,
Yeah.
The projections for next week it's not looking great. Hopefully it gets all the grossness out of the way Monday through Friday. That way, by the time we get to opening day Friday, it's not too bad. Like you said, it's supposed to be pretty chilly. Like you said last year, Dave mentioned it after that first game last year where Hagan had his worst out in the season with it being so cold. They probably shouldn't have played that game. So I'll be interested to see if they, shrink the schedule a little bit and maybe have a day where they play a doubleheader or something going into that opening weekend.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Friday's high of 49, low of 24. Saturday's high of 62. That's the best day of them all, with a low of 37. Sunday's high is 37 with a low of 17. Monday's even worse, low of 35.
The thing is, today, for the whole week, it was like a high of 70 today. And right now I'm freezing. So I don't trust the weatherman at all.
Well,
it's like I always says, having the job of weatherman is one of the few jobs that you can be 50% right and still keep your job.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
If you're a batter, though, you're in the Hall of Fame.
True.
So,
just 1 out of 3, and you're good to go.
Hitting 500, best batter in the.
Oh yeah, you'll take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was a betting man, I'd say we play a doubleheader Saturday.
Yeah, I'd feel the same.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But as we kind of get ready to wrap up here, you have something you want to mention there with.
Yep. So part of this establishment. So there's a place above where it's a personal residence. Danny, right? Danny. Well, they've got. Is this yours or is this? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So this is part of Seven Hills homeless. It used to be a part of Seven Hills homeless shelter, right? It's called Essential Outreach. It's a they collaborate with communities outside of Northwest Arkansas to assist those in need. So they give like personal hygiene products, just basic essentials for people. And it's a nonprofit here in Northwest Arkansas. You can go to Essentials Outreach at essentialsoutreach.org and go make a donation, help some people in need, and just so.
We were going to be at 16th at Newtown Winery with beer and meals, and all the proceeds that they make go to our charity. And then at Firecraft the next weekend, and all those donations come to us also.
You said the 16th.
The 16th and then following.
16th Beer and Hip in Coneytown at the winery. Go check it out. All the proceeds goes to Essential Outreach, and then the bike wreck in Bentonville. And what day was that? The following weekend. Okay. Yeah. So go out there, support them. It's a great cause, and help some people in need. It's a really good thing.
Yeah. Love to see those things. It's fantastic to have those programs out there that help those people in need. But fantastic to be able to shout them out. Go out there and check them out, whether you want to go to Coneytown Winery the 16th or the following weekend at Bike Wreck Brewery in Bentonville. So as we kind of get ready to wrap up, Trent's playing text and says, Austin, that's why you check the hourly temperatures, not the extended forecast.
Bro, you can't do this hourly. Yeah, I moved this entire setup twice. So it was out here on the court, if you remember from the beginning. Nice place, it's great, except the wind was killing me. So I'm like, I moved in, and then the owner comes in, Keith, and he's like, we can't do this. It's pretty small in there. If it's about 28 people before the fire marshal gets onto them. So with the big PA system, it just wasn't going to work. So now we moved out here. It's kind of the happy medium. And I tell you, dude, I was breaking a sweat before we got live. I'm telling you.
I was about to say, when you stop moving, that's when you start to chill down.
Oh yeah, I'm freezing because I was I don't want to get gross, but I was sweaty, so I got cold really quick.
I'm very comfortable here.
Still, I don't trust them.
Here, Austin.
I don't trust the weather.
I'm so glad you're nice and comfy at home, Hobbs.
Yeah.
Brightens my day. But as we kind of get ready to wrap up here, like I said earlier, big game tonight at 7:30. Bud Walton taking on number 3 Alabama. If you have tickets, please get butts in seats. We want to have a rowdy environment to have the best environment for this big time matchup. Corey, that hype man, is going to be there from gymnastics. A different DJ is going to be there. It's not going to be DJ Derek that's normally there. They're throwing a few wrinkles into the mix to kind of liven up the crowd, like we said. Get out there and have a big environment before they decide to, price everybody out, if you will. So it's going to be fantastic there. Baseball opening weekend next weekend. Update, more than likely no show tomorrow due to the big game happening. Not supposed to say the S word.
What game?
So, and so big game tomorrow. If we do a show, we might do one earlier in the day, but we'll have to see, depending on timing.
I'm hoping for a meteor strike. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, I don't like either.
So,
plus my boss is a KC fan, so
you won't hear the end of it.
Yeah, I won't hear the end of it if KC wins. I've been giving him crap all week, so.
But yeah, so big game tonight. Get out there. Softball will be back in action next Friday. Baseball gets their season kicked off next Friday versus Washington State. We'll have a preview for that next Thursday. But we're going to get out of here, get wrapped up, and I'm going to get ready to head to Bud Walton to see this big-time matchup. Before we get out of here, again, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit that bell. That way you know anytime we go live. That way you don't miss it. So for Austin, Hobbs, and myself, we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next time.